Hey there, Great Song Podcast listener. Before you dig into today's episode, I want to take just a moment to talk to you about Scientology. No, just kidding. Today's episode is a little bit different, and so I want to give you a heads up to make sure you are listening to the correct, preferred version for yourself. Today's episode includes full album commentary for the album 10 Summoner's Tales by Sting, and we've released it in two versions. One with commentary only, which is the version that you have chosen here, and another version that has the album playing underneath. Choose this version with commentary only for if you want to listen to the album on a different set of speakers. If you want to listen to it at home, listen to the podcast on your phone at the same time, and we'll keep you in sync. Or if you want to listen to it all together, then you're going to want to go back and choose the other version to listen to, where we have included the album audio for us to talk over. Either way, we hope you enjoy it. Hope you give us some feedback and let us know what you think about the album 10 Summoner's Tales and this particular format for the podcast. We're excited about trying something different, and we hope you guys enjoy it too. Thanks so much for listening, and here we go.
Turn up the radio and sing along. It's time for another great song. This is the Great Song Podcast.
Season's greetings and welcome once again to the Great Song Podcast. I'm Rob Alley.
I am JP Mosier.
And we're here breaking down the greatest songs in modern music history. We're going to tell you why they're great, why we think they're awesome, and why you should too. JP, how you doing today, man?
Fantastic. Ready to dive into this this different undertaking.
Yes. Okay, so we're working with kind of a different format today for season 2. We're trying new things, trying to branch out, do a little more, a little different.
See what we like, what y'all like.
Yeah, we just want to add value to your life. So we're going to try this a little different format today. So here's how it's going to work. Today we are covering the album 10 Summoner's Tales by Sting, the 1993 album. And we are going to cover it in its entirety, but we're going to do it like this. This is going to be, think of it as a director's commentary, except we didn't have anything to do with the production of this album whatsoever. We are completely 100% disconnected from this album. But what we're going to ask you to do is listen along at home. And we are going to hit play together. We'll count you down, and on whatever your format is.
Kind of like where the lion's roar is on the dark side of Oz.
Yes,
of Oz.
Exactly. We're going to tell you, instead of having a lion roar 3 times and having a kind of ambiguous start point, we're gonna count you down to 0 and have you hit play on whatever you're listening to the album from. If you've got a CD, anything digital will work. CD, iPod,
You got to be really fast if you're doing it on vinyl.
That's right. If you're on vinyl, you're going to have a problem. But we will talk to you from time to time, and I'll give you some heads up as to, we'll sing something along or whatever, just so we make sure that we're in sync, and so that if you need to adjust either, what you're listening to us on or what you're listening on to the album on, then we can make sure and stay together. But it's just going to be kind of a family vibe. We're just going to listen to this album together. We'll talk about it. We'll talk over it, talk through some of our favorite things about it.
It's like we're in a car together driving and it's playing.
Right. But so it's not going to be, in that regard, a typical Great Song Podcast episode. First of all, because it's covering an album. But second of all, because it's not going to be necessarily the bullet point research with some side notes that we normally bring to you. It's going to be more, we're going to experience this thing together. We're there in your car, we're there in your living room, we're there in your head, man. And we're going to listen to one of the greatest albums of all time, one of our absolute favorites by one of our favorite artists, fantastic songwriter, Sting. So let's get this ready. Go ahead and take a second if you need to pause while you pull up Sting's album 10 Summoner's Tales. Go ahead and do that. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to count you down to 0. And when I hit 0, I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, play. And when I say 1, 2, 3, play, that's when I want you to hit play. Like when I say play, not 1, 2, 3, play, hit. Okay, just so we're all clear here. We're going to say 1, 2, 3, bam. Okay.
And there may be some dead spaces on air
Absolutely.
of talking because the music is
The music's so good, it's worth listening to. We're just going to take it in, like JP said, like we're just riding down the highway, listen to this album all together in the same car, and we're going to experience it together and just take it in. Because this album, everything about it is so phenomenal. I don't want to start already just digging into it, but let's go ahead and dig into this thing. This is 10 Summoner's Tales by Sting, and we're going to start listening together in 1, 2. No, I said I was going to count down.
You went back.
I flipped the script there. All right, let's do this whole thing together.
Count down from 4. That's a weird number.
Okay. I'm going to count you down from 4, and on 0, we're all going to hit play together. Ready? 4, 3, 2, 1, play.
And here we go. Already this album starts with tension. You hear those lead lines?
The video to this is really weird.
And then it releases.
Is that a flat 5 that starts it?
Yeah, it's rising chromatically, and then when the flat 5, and then when it gets to the 5, it releases. So this is the first track on this album. This is called If I Ever Lose My Faith in You. If you were around in 1993, you heard this song on the radio. It's a great song, very good vibe for an album opener. And it's just sort of I don't know, it kind of sets up the whole album. It's not a concept record, but there's a lot of things that, kind of come up, repeatedly. So this is just a good thing. This is actually listed as the prologue to the album, and the last song is listed as the epilogue. So it's kind of a connected story, but not really. It's just a collection of stories. It is, in fact, 10 Summoner's Tales.
Which is funny that there's 11 songs on here. And that it's 10.
I guess maybe the epilogue doesn't count.
And that's what I saw him. They asked him about it, and he's like, well, the epilogue is not really part of the 10.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about the Summoner's Tales?
Yeah, so the album is called 10 Summoner's Tales. It was released in 1993, and the title is kind of a play on words. Sting's real name, his given name, is Gordon Sumner.
His surname.
Yes, his surname. And it's also a play off of the Summoner, a character from Geoffrey Chaucer's Canterbury Tales. So kind of combine those. And
how many of the tales do you know? Can you think?
None.
Knights, cooks, friars.
Yeah, I know nothing. Hey, hey. Hey, hey, hey. That's
Fat Albert.
Yeah, Fat Albert guest appearance on that. That's the deluxe edition.
Thanks for stopping by, Fat Albert.
Okay, this is a great bridge. The bass line stays the same for both halves of this, but the chords on top change. So that the second time it's a 2 major chord instead of a 2 minor. Yeah. And that top note, Sting hits that note in a way that nobody else really does.
It's high.
It's not that other people can't hit it, but something his voice does in his upper register is just
He still
beautiful.
has power in his upper register.
Yeah, it's still like when we saw him in concert
last year,
mm-hmm. and he killed.
Yeah, this song reached number 17 on the Billboard.
And this song is just basically like, I've lost faith in everything but you. And it's, of course, been badly covered by many Christian artists trying to make it mean something that he didn't intend. Shouts out to Jenny Varnado.
She did a thing at Pathway. I have an autographed poster of Jenny Varnado.
Well, she did actually, it wasn't that bad. I smell a key change, though. There it is.
It's my faith.
Flat 3 coming.
Oh, you guys jump up there and hit this note.
Yeah, get it. Now, this is when first time you're gonna start to hear the band kind of shine. There's a lot of just sort of jam in this. A very loose band as far as, now they're incredibly tight, but the vibe is loose.
On the video of this, there's a video for this. The ending is different and it's awesome.
Yeah, it gets extended and there's a long form video which was nominated for a Grammy when it came out.
Came out on VHS and Laserdisc.
Oh yeah, but you can find it on YouTube. Thanks, modern technology. So
that ended track 1.
That's the end of track 1. We're headed into Love is Stronger Than Justice, parentheses, the Munificent Seven. And that's kind of a play on the story. We'll talk about it.
Yep.
But there's a long form video. Check it out, especially if you really dig the band interplay on this album, because you get to see them play it live. It was recorded in basically a castle. It's
called the Lake House. It's called Lake House.
Lake House, yes. And you get to see them play all this stuff live. And part of it is the tracks that are on the album, and part of it is things that got dubbed or that they made tweaks to. It's fantastic, fascinating. The band on this album is stellar.
We'll touch on Meet the Band throughout. Just
Yeah,
here's what we
absolutely.
like. Hey, do you want to jump in and talk about Vinny right now?
Let's
'Cause
talk
this-
about
the top
this
signature
groove. Yes. Okay. So there's lots of multimeter or odd meter stuff on this album. This song is in 7/4 time. It's 1,
But the
2,
chorus
3,
is in
4,
four.
5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. That's right. We're going to the chorus, which goes into 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. But this is a cowboy song. Like, Sting has always had a weird, at least since his solo stuff came out, a weird sort of country, like every now and then he'll veer into some country stuff. But he usually does it with some weird twist. Even he did I Hung My Head, which is in a weird time signature. But so here we'll go back to 7 and listen to the drummer. On this one, he's going 1 and 2 and 3 and gives those random snare hits that sound double time, but we're still saying in 7/4 time. But this, his right hand does something different. There's another song that's in 7 later on the album, but here he's going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 1 and 2 and 3, and his right hand accents those beats. Later on, you're going to hear him do something on St. Augustine in Hell, where his right hand stays the same over this time signature change. I think we even maybe noted it in season 1 in talking about something else.
Yeah, the chorus is pretty straight. It's
Yeah.
just C, F, G, C. It's pretty, but I like that it's called the Magnificent Seven and it's in 7.
It's in 7.
I
yes.
think that's cool.
Yep. And so this is kind of a play on words of the Magnificent Seven, but it's just he and 7 brothers, and there's this deal they make to help
all
this
kinds of
town.
sevens through the.
And they say, we've got wives for all of you. And then basically what happens is they get the deed done and they save this town. And the mayor says, oh, I'm just kidding. There's really only one girl. And so then the last verse goes kind of dark. He says, although there used to be brothers 7, the other 6 is singing in heaven. And the implication is, well, not even the implication, the
pretty,
overt whatever is that he killed his brothers. But he's like, cool, we're living, I'm fine now. And listen to this right here. These are the brothers singing from heaven without the lead vocal, with extra reverb, the heavenly choir of Sting's dead brothers.
Of a
singing
bunch
this
of
last chorus.
Stings.
Yes, a bunch of Stings. They all sound alike, those Sumner brothers. Talking about how love is stronger than justice and love is thicker than blood. And that's why I had to kill all my brothers to get this wife. But neither of us have brothers, so I don't
Yeah,
know.
we're
If, like, I don't know if I could ever see myself doing this or not. I don't know. And then we're going back to this very cool 7/4 bow, down, down, with this cool guitar line. Shout out to Dominic Miller, who we'll talk about later.
Absolutely. He's
Been with Sting for a long
since
time.
91.
Wow.
Yeah, and he before that he was doing session work with the Pretenders and Phil Collins.
Oh, no kidding.
So that was his
Solid.
pre-Sting life.
And whose son now plays another breakdown section coming here. So funky, so good. A lot of jazz influence on this album. I cannot talk you through all the theory on this album because there's just so much of it, and quite frankly, some of it's over my head. So good, though.
Little key part there.
Now listen to the drummer right here. He's going to start playing in 7/4, but playing around with the time signature. Just putting accents in weird spot.
Nice job, Vinny.
So tasty. And on the video version of this, you get to hear some of the extended versions of these sections where they don't end where you're used to hearing them fade out. And it's like, fantastic. I think it's about time for a radio ballad, though.
Yeah, here we go.
Don't
Here comes
you?
this is the radio album hit. This is the hit.
That's right. This is one of Sting's classic numbers here coming up. This is Fields of Gold, track 3 as we listen together. Thanks for joining us, by the way.
Yeah.
Just feel like we need to bring it down for a second, maybe bring it in for a hug, you know?
featuring Catherine Tickle on Northumbrian small pipes.
Of course.
course.
I mean, if you need Northumbrian small pipes, there are few else to call except for Catherine Tickle.
Call Catherine Tickle. She's been with Sting on every album. She did Soul Cages, 10 Summer's Tales, Mercury Falling, Brand New Day, Fun on Winter's Night, and Last Ship.
Wow.
So the 90s, she was on everyone.
Beautiful song here. I'm sure there are a million covers of this song. Did you look any of that up?
Yeah, there's lots. Actually, the Barry Gibb has
Yeah.
an awful cover. No, it's okay.
I know
Robin J.P. covered it at the Michael Conley wedding.
Sure did. Shout out to Michael and Jen.
Jenna Conley.
Eva Cassidy has one. Celtic Woman. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I have a question. In listening to this album, prepping to this, I've said many times the last thing I listen to,
Is the
everybody
lyric.
say it together,
Is the
lyric. But I never thought about this. At the end of the song, the lyric makes me think that he is singing this song from the grave.
Let me pull out my
That he
liner
is-
notes and read it.
He is dead.
Because they're all be like, we'll walk,
And he
we'll
said-
walk,
well,
and then it's
yes,
when we
and
walk.
then it changes. Yeah, when you'll remind the sun when we walked. You know what I mean? And he says, many years have passed since those summer days among the fields of barley, and like the kids are playing out there now, basically, but I'm not there. Is the vibe that I get. So shouts out to Death. You won again, doggone it.
He's here on the inner liner note with his horse.
Yep.
Do you know the story
That's-
about his horse?
I know that's his horse on the
It
album
is.
cover.
It's
That's all I know.
Hrimnir, and it's an Icelandic horse that he owned. I thought the first time I saw it, he's at the beginning of the VHS. I was like, what's that donkey doing here? And then I looked up some good little guitar solo here.
Beautiful little nylon string guitar. Sting, you'll hear often, does some great work on some nylon string with his more classical vibes.
I like it when the melody is played on a guitar solo.
And I usually don't.
I do.
I mean, I got no problem with it.
You think it's lazy?
But it's not something that I ever do. If I hear a solo section, I'm basically going to,
Make it a solo?
I don't think it's lazy. I would never say that. But my brain just doesn't want to
I
hear the
like
melody
it.
again.
I like it.
You got any notes on Dominic Miller? You know what? No, let's save him for one of the blues tunes.
Okay.
Yeah. Jump the gun. When we walked. Tell the sun about when we walked. You can talk to the sun because I'm gone, because I'm dead. So far, somebody's died in at least 2 of the first 3 songs.
That's true.
I always felt like this was a little bit of a lazy ending. You know, you just kind of vibing it out, and then you just, all right, just landed on the one, guys. It's like they didn't really know. It's like, oh crap, we forgot to rehearse the ending. And then, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, and just hold it. Hold the pad. Hold the pad.
You hold it, David Sancious.
All right, now let's kick it back up again. This coming up song is called Heavy Cloud, No Rain, and I think it's just so clever. It's just a cute song. It's got several it's like little vignettes of stories of when rain, it would benefit somebody for it to rain in some way or another, and it never does.
I think it's neat that it's kind of a simple song, considering the complexity of a lot of the other songs.
Very true. Gives your ear something to kind of relax on. Basically a new way to say close but no cigar.
Yeah. What instruments play in the beep, 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 beep?
I think it's saxophone. Oh. I think it's just a guitar, right?
Maybe
Just
because
sounds
the
like a
chord
jazz
changed,
guitar.
I guess.
Some sort of stringed instrument. Yeah. Cool slide. Dominic
That is
Miller is
yeah,
tasty.
Yeah.
Witchcraft, man. Oh, here we go. Death number 3. He killed a brindled calf in the pale moonlight. And the King Louis, already died in the previous verse. A lot of death going on. The death hole is rising. It's about time for a guitar solo. Play it, Dominic Miller. Let's talk about him. Got some stuff on Dominic Miller?
I used most of it earlier.
Okay, all right. Did we talk about that his son is now playing with him?
Yeah, a little bit. We talked about that. He primarily uses Fernandez guitars on this album.
All right.
So
cool. They used to make a little cool guitar that had the speaker built into it. It was like a little tiny compact guitar, and you put a battery in it and it had a speaker in it, and it was like, you don't even need an amp anymore. And boom, heavy cloud, but no rain. This just feels good. This feels like some kind of almost Motown. And then he brings it around for the last verse. He brings it to himself personally. He's like, asked my baby if we could, do some romance. And she said, let's save it for a rainy day. That's the blues in a nutshell.
Do you know this was the first item ever securely purchased on the internet? Was this CD?
This album. Tell us about it.
Yeah, August 11, 1994. This was the first thing.
The first secure purchase.
Secure purchase on the internet.
Over the internet.
Was this compact disc.
Somebody paid like $12 in shipping for it.
Yep.
And so we think, all right, this is kind of the accessible song, even though it's got weird chord changes in it still. There's nothing about this album that is 100% just
normal,
standard.
yeah.
Even the blues song that we're about to go into, which is just so good. I love it so much. It's got odd chord changes that you don't typically find in a blues song, but it feels so good. Gives you something at least that you're familiar with to latch on to. I just love this. There's so much going on in this song right now.
Got this really cool clock intro that's about to bring in.
Here we go. That's a long fade right there. That's like a 12-second fade out on Heavy Cloud No Rain, but it's still going. That's a tritone you're hearing. Dun, 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 dun. Doing the same kind of rhythm pattern that we talked about on season 1 on Life is a Highway. It's really a 6/8 pattern over a 4/4. And this is kind of a Chicago swing. It's fast, but shuffle, I guess.
Yeah, Vinny's a big Buddy Rich fan. And I don't know if you know who Buddy Rich is. Played with Sinatra and Count Basie.
Legend.
His first full-time gig was with Frank Zappa. Vinny's was.
Really?
So
awesome. And that is Vinny Colaiuta playing drums on this album, who is just, as far as I'm concerned, he may be the best drummer I've ever heard. He's got chops, but more so than chops, he's got an incredible taste, and he knows just when to do things that are abnormal and when to just lay down the groove. But he just does things that are I don't hear other drummers doing. He's just got ideas.
Well, he studied jazz at Berkeley, so he's a jazz drummer. When he he played with Joni Mitchell in the 80s, Sting in the 90s, and in that gap when he wasn't with one of them, he was with Herbie Hancock and Chick Corea. So
wow.
I mean, those are jazz artists. So
she's too good. Take it down. So this is basically like, man, I'm kind of a slob. My girl doesn't like anything about me. She's too good for me. She knows it. And so this part is kind of dressed up a little bit. This part of the song has a bow tie.
Here's your violin and cello section.
Yes.
Sean Bell on cello. James Boyd on viola.
And he's like,
and he's back.
Never mind. I got to be who I am.
Sorry, Simon Fisher and Catherine Greeley on violin. You are done.
Is this your favorite Sting album?
Yes. Hands down. Yeah.
What's your second favorite?
Soul Cages.
Mine too.
Yep.
A very dark album.
Yeah.
Soul Cages
Mad
is
About
very
You
dark.
is a great song.
Oh, fantastic. I always wanted to hear Mad About You used as a hip-hop sample. I always thought that would do good as a sample. Good for me.
Have you heard that this She's Too Good For Me is a follow-up to Roxanne?
No?
Yeah, I heard
That's amazing.
That's a good little follow-up to that.
Wow. Okay, this song here. Whew, This song is a mouthful.
Grab on.
You're gonna go back and listen to this again after we're done. This is called 7 Days. And normally, if an artist is doing a song this song is in 5/4 time.
Oh, I thought it was
well,
5/8,
you could call
5/4.
it 5/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Normally you see a lot of people who, like, if they've done a song in 7/4, they'll call it something with the word 7 in it, like we did earlier, the Munificent Seven. I always thought this was funny. I don't know why. I always thought it was funny that it was called 7 Days and it was
Should
in
be
5.
Should be 5 days.
Yeah, Okay, so listen to the hi-hat here.
The thing that I think will throw you off too is the bass kick is on 1.
Right. 1 and 1 and 1 and. But the hi-hat is keeping the same over it. He's going to do it on the chorus here in a second too.
And the rib click's on 4, so that'll throw you on the verse.
He's just going on like his right hand doesn't know it's in 5.
Yeah.
Like he just didn't bother to tell it.
I love this melody.
Yeah. The chord changes on the song, phenomenal. Oh, but Sunday be too late. He's got to make a move on this girl. He's got to prove to her that he's worthy. He's got a week to do it. She wrote him a note that just said 7 days. Like,
should have said
wait,
5 days.
Is this the plot to The Ring? Is that how this works?
Yeah.
I love this line. He'll murder me in time for his tea. Like, he'll murder me, and it's not even going to be an inconvenience for him. You know what I mean? Like, the last song was about she's too good for me, and this song is like, this guy is way too much for me. Like,
Yeah.
I'm David and he's Goliath, and I've got no chance.
Till Tuesday.
If I make up my mind, though. So this song contained 2 U.S. hits. I would have thought 3. But If I Ever Lose My Faith in You hit number 17 on Billboard, and I would have thought that would have hit higher too. I just remember it was on such heavy rotation at the time. And then Fields of Gold hit number 23. No mega hits. And I remember the epilogue, Still Know Nothing About Me, playing a lot on heavy radio rotation, but it apparently did not chart in a noteworthy way. The album was nominated for 6 Grammys: Album of the Year, Best Engineered Album, Non-Classical, Best Male Pop Vocal Performance for If I Ever Lose My Faith in You, Best Long-Form Music Video. I'm so angry that I did not know about that song about that video until last year.
Yeah, I just discovered it yesterday and watched it for the first time, and it's awesome.
Record of the Year and Song of the Year, both of those for If I Ever Lose My Faith in You. So that song was like a big breakout. Sting was already huge, but this album
Took it over the top.
Yeah, it took his next one. And his next album following this was Mercury Falling. Is that right?
Yeah.
I think it was. And I think this album
That was a
propelled
96.
that album to probably a higher degree of success than it deserved. It doesn't stack up for me. It's good. It's great, of course, but it's not this, and it's not Soul Cages.
Well, Brand New Day, I think, was one that I remember being big,
Yeah.
that everybody had and bought, and it was all over the place.
Yeah, Brand New Day was huge again.
Into the 90s.
Listen to the drums here. He's just messing around. These jam sections are everything.
So yeah, like we were saying, Vinny played with Billy Joel, Olivia Newton-John, Barbra Streisand, Ray Charles, but he also played with Wang Chung,
Of course he did.
and he played on the Michael W. Smith "I'll Lead You Home" album.
Wow. Okay. Oh, there's a great quote here at the end of this song. We just heard it, but if you're not paying much attention or if you're just in the groove, you can miss it. But he actually quotes lyrics from Every Little Thing She Does Is Magic. At the end of that,
cool.
he sings, "Do I have to tell the story of 1,000 rainy days since we first met? It's a big enough umbrella, but it's always me that ends up getting wet." That's how the
that's
song
cool.
ends. This song. Ooh, I love it so much.
And your rhythmic brain did not get a rest.
No,
because we're
absolutely.
going into another song
We're-
in 7.
We're back into 7/4 time
7/4.
here. Same deal with if you listen to the ride cymbal, ding, 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 ding. So it's on the beat, then off the beat in consecutive bars. You got anything on our organ player here? This is really the spot where
Absolutely.
he shines.
David Sanchez, he was a member of the E Street Band
Yeah.
on their first 3 albums. And actually, the E Street Band was named after the street that Sanchez's mom lived on.
No kidding.
Because they used her garage to practice.
Awesome.
Yeah, and his organ solo on Kitty's Back on Springsteen album is fantastic.
The organ work on this song can really not be overstated.
It's good, yeah, and I think it's tasty organ all the way through the album.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This is going to be a Hammond B3 organ for those of you who are not familiar. It's not like a big church pipe organ. It's more of like a gospel church jazz organ that's become
on the side of the stage.
Yeah, and it has a rotating speaker called a Leslie that when you put a microphone in front of it, it kind of gives you a wobbly sound. There are guitar pedals that emulate it called tremolo and vibrato pedals, and it kind of gives you I don't really know how to. It just gives you a unique sound. And this song is called St. Augustine in Hell. It is a telling of it's basically St. Augustine waking up dead. Do you wake up dead? I don't know. And realizing he has not made it to heaven. And there's a woman involved, and I just wasn't strong enough. Guest appearance by the devil. So that's cool.
For the narration part.
I always assume it's the devil. I don't know.
Yeah, and I wrote down the guy that did the narration somewhere, and I can't remember where I put it. Let me find it. Oh, narration on the inside liner notes. Paul Franklin.
Paul Franklin.
Doing the narration.
So.
Oh, who is actually the pedal steel player.
No kidding.
Oh, I'm sorry. David Fox is the narrator.
Okay,
My
David
bad.
Fox
Wrong
as
side.
the devil.
Wrong side.
Let's listen to the devil's soliloquy coming up right here. Such a great voice. Sounds so cool, right?
Certified
These
accountant.
Weird sounds start coming in. You're never alone. So creepy.
It's a completely different devil than Revival in the Land from Carmen.
Organ solo. Killer organ solo.
David Beck.
Lot of whole tone scale. That's where there are no half steps involved. It's just C, D, E, F sharp, G sharp, A sharp, C. There are no half steps like in a major scale. Great whole tone line coming up right here. So cool.
I really want to listen to you do that skit with nothing behind it,
Yeah.
nothing underneath it. Since I mentioned the pedal steel guy, I feel like I should at least talk about him.
Sure,
a little
yeah.
bit.
We probably heard him on earlier on Love is Stronger Than Justice.
Paul Franklin, his dad invented the Podobro. It's a dobro with pedals.
With pedals?
Like a pedal steel.
Whoa.
Yeah, and it made its debut. The first time it was ever used was on Randy Travis's Forever and Ever Amen.
Are you serious?
First time it was ever used.
Oh, now I'm going to go listen to that
Yep.
song.
His dad invented that.
This album was produced by Sting and Hugh Padgham, who I believe we have talked about in a previous episode with Phil Collins. Hugh Padgham is the guy credited with the creation of the gated reverb sound that became popular on drums in the 80s. I know we talked about that, and I think we talked about his name in connection with it along with Phil Collins. Hugh Padgham has won a bunch of Grammy Awards. The production on this album is absolute 100% top notch. There are no weak spots in this album at any point. Like songwriting wise, production wise, it is A++. Do you agree?
Absolutely.
Is there anything you hear on this album
I can't think of anything that
you
I
go,
don't like.
Yeah.
I feel like I guess we're trailing off of this song, but other popular songs in 7/4, Money by Pink
Yeah,
Floyd.
Pink Floyd, sure.
That's a good riff.
Dun, dun, dun.
I was trying to think of ones with weird 7-time signature. Can you think of
I
any?
didn't even think to go through the memory banks and try and pull up some. Of course, if you listen to like progressive rock, that kind of stuff, you're more likely to hear, okay, this chord that you just heard, ba, is a minor major 9 chord, and that is. Let's
you
put it in the
write
key
that
of
out.
C. Okay, let's say I don't know what key the song is in, but it's basically a major triad over a minor triad. So it's basically if you wrote it out like a fraction, it would be if X is 1. Okay, if X is the root chord, root note, you would have a 1X chord on the bottom and a 5X chord on the top. So you would have an X minor chord on bottom, like a C minor chord, and a G major chord over the top of
Okay.
it. C, E flat, G, B natural, D. And so it gives kind of a mysterious vibe. You hear it as the last chord in a lot of definitely in like mystery parodies where somebody's doing a detective sketch. You'll hear that chord.
Monk.
It's a
Columbo.
a minor major 7 or a minor major 9 in this case.
This song was written with Eric Clapton,
Yeah.
Steve Gadd, and Michael Kamen.
Yeah.
So a little
Very
Clapton.
cool. I didn't know that until researching. Very cool.
Yep.
I wonder about this song. Is this a love song? Like, the gist of it is, I'll be there for you, even when nobody else is, right? But then he sets it up like this. He's like very hesitant to say like
I'm your fallback.
yeah, he's like, I guess I love you.
Yeah.
Sort of like, and then he says, well, you're not the easiest person I ever got to know. And it's, so I guess he's just saying, this kind of feels like I've heard the story about, well, maybe you haven't. I don't know if this is a real anecdote or just a made up story, but the guy who says, like the guy asked him, I never hear you tell your wife you love her. And he says, well, I told her the day I married her, and if I ever change my mind, I'll let her know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that kind of guy who's like very sort of, man's man, I can't talk about my feelings. Maybe that's what this is?
I take it as that he's having to be the hero.
Yeah.
I think the thing that ties it is if somebody's got to die for you, I guess it's got to be me.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't want to be the guy.
Do you think he knows? Like, okay.
He knows
does
that's the end?
Let's say, yeah, like
I'm not going to compare him to Jesus because
Yeah.
that's a bad comparison.
No,
but
but
he knows the end result.
Although somebody probably has
Sure.
and done this song on their,
Sure.
Yeah. Anyway, but like, let's say I'm 6 feet from you,
Yeah.
and you've got the time between when I fire my gun and the time the bullet hits your heart. Is this what's going through your mind?
Yep,
Like,
like-
is this happening the moment before
he steps in front of it
Yeah.
to be the hero.
Yeah.
Like, I got to say it, but it's you or me, so it's
Yeah,
probably me.
It's probably me.
It's your, yep, that's good.
So many people dying on this album.
Yeah, and it's kind of neat because I saw an interview with him about this. I read it actually about this album, and he's like, yeah, it's so much more lighthearted than Soul Cages. And it's
Which
fun.
is true. Soul Cages dealt thematically with the loss of his parents, but it was just a very, very, very dark
yeah.
album and bitter. Like it's at least this one has some lighthearted moments. Soul Cages really does not. It just hammers away and doesn't let go. Even
All This Time's
I was going to
kinda-
say all this time at least feels
happy.
happy, but it's not.
Yeah, it's
It's probably me, I guess. I guess I love you forever.
there's a trumpet part
Yeah,
there.
muted trumpet.
John Barclay and Guy Barker on trumpet.
Okay. Great chord there. That's a whole tone. That's a whole tone chord. A whole tone is weird because you can literally hit like 5 or 6 whole tone notes that are a full step apart, and depending on the bass note, it just doesn't sound weird. You would think that would sound strange, but it sounds. It just doesn't. It should, but it doesn't. You even hear the muted trumpet with that minor major 9 chord. It's just the kind of thing that you do over that. It's got that sort of, well, she walked into my office at, you know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying.
out of all
It's
the
black and
clubs.
white,
Yeah, film noir kind of detective story sound.
black hat, and he's smoking a cigarette.
Exactly, yeah.
That's good. I get it.
Out of all the days,
What do we got coming up
she
next?
walked into my
Shape of my
office and
heart.
said,
Is this your?
Coming up, Shape of My Heart
This
with
is my.
the.
This is my favorite song on the album.
Is it really?
This is mine.
It is not.
It's not yours.
I mean,
I love
it's
it.
great.
I love the guitar part. The
Apparently,
classical-
I didn't even realize this has kind of become one of his like most popular song. I mean, more popular songs. He has
concerts he likes it or requests.
some more nylon string classical guitar work. Nylon string versus steel string, which is what you normally hear on an acoustic guitar. But nylon is what you hear in flamenco and that sort of classical guitar sound. That's what you're hearing there. It's a nylon string that's a lot thicker, but kind of gives a softer sound.
Dominic Miller wrote all the music for this, the guitar player. So Sting put the lyrics together with it.
So this is basically the song of a card dealer, a card shark. And he just does it because he loves it.
Yeah,
He finds his peace in dealing cards.
he doesn't do it to win or to get the money. He just likes the game.
Yeah. Sort of like who's it? Ed Norton in
Rounders?
Rounders.
Man,
Yeah.
such a good movie.
Ed Norton, Matt Damon.
I think they're making another Rounders
What?
2.
Really?
Yeah, I heard that.
Oh, I'm in for that.
Yep.
Pay that man his money.
Yeah. John Malkovich.
Great chorus here. Spades, clubs, get it? See where we're headed? Diamonds mean money for this art, but
Another card reference. Heart.
said I'm not doing it for the money. It's not about the money. No. Jesse J proved it.
Theory of the Dead Men do a pretty good cover of this, and I'm not a fan of them, but
Really?
the cover's pretty good.
And this is where you're listen to the drums on this one versus the busier other songs. He's just laying
Space.
down a loop here. Yeah, all about the space. I love his rim click sound. I don't know what kind of snare, combination of snare drum and sticks that he uses that make that sound.
Sounds like a really tiny snare, maybe like a piccolo, but it's just a really.
Yeah, it does.
It's just like.
Yeah.
It's real sharp.
It's perfect. Great chord change here. You would normally expect it to go, the note that he's singing, but it's actually, you would expect a 5 chord there, but it's actually a 2 minor chord, and he sings the 5 over the top of it. So it would be a 2 minor add 11. Harmonica solo? This is
Flute, right?
it's a flute. It must be an old. Sting goes for a lot of
David
like
Heath
old world
on
instruments.
flute.
This is I don't know what you call it. It's not a standard flute. It must be some sort of flute variation.
Flutish.
Yeah. I don't really know what that is. I always thought it was a harmonica.
Maybe it is.
Some
It's
sort
a-
of
I think-
mouth
I think it's
instrument.
Kind of feel like we should throw. It's starting to get towards the end. Is there anything we need to of the album?
yeah,
Anything
if
we
you-
need to piece
if
together?
You got something? Go for it. Talk about some more band members, some Sting stuff.
On trombone on this album, Mark Nightingale, who was the first customer to purchase a Michael Rath trombone. I'm not a trombone player, but apparently that's the #1 custom trombone brand right now is Michael Rath, and he was the first customer to get a custom made one of those. And now
Interesting.
it's like for those of you trombonists, that's a pretty big one. Harmonica all the way through this album. I was going to save it for the next one on Something the Boy Said because I think that's the best harmonica part on the album.
See, and I'm thinking this solo on this is a
Maybe
harmonica.
it is. Now that you say that, I've just visualized it different watching somebody play it.
No, I
but-
think it's more of like the Stevie Wonder
Yep.
kind of, not like your Bob Dylan honky-tonk harmonica.
Maybe you're right.
Yeah.
Larry Adler and Brendan Power on harmonica on this album.
Good job, guys.
Brendan Power won International Harmonica Player of the Year 2011 and 2012.
Interesting.
So,
It's hard to pull off a tasteful harmonica solo on a ballad.
Truth.
But by golly, they did it.
that's a good point.
Always good to have some reverb in there for that. So headed into maybe the weirdest song on the album. I
Sure.
don't know. It's it's kind of dark subject matter a little bit. It's just kind of eerie and creepy.
I do like this harmonica part at the beginning.
Great groove here. Do, doom, doom, do, doom, doom, doom. Just bass, guitar, and kick locked in there together.
Right here, I like this.
Yeah. This little,
So,
love that.
Yep.
That's some chromaticism in there with a little minor third leap.
good job, Brendan Power.
That is a major 7, flat 7, 5 flutter. So yeah, this is about kind of a sense of foreboding. I don't know. He's headed on a trip with a group of people. I don't know if it's maybe a cruise, a journey of some kind, and then the captain's son says, "You're never going to make it back. You're going to get eaten by a bunch of crows." A carrion crow is what he actually says. Sting writes a great story. He's very, very good at painting an authentic feeling, story with his words. It's just beautiful. Beautiful song about being afraid you're going to die.
So it's the line reads, "From the wind on the moor so wild." I always thought it was moon. So
Oh, yeah. No, the wind on the moor. The disadvantage of not being British, trying to make sense of
sure.
Sting is another artist. We talked about this a little bit with James Taylor, but with the Police and Sting's solo work combined, he has sold over 100 million records. He has been ranked one of the best living songwriters. He is one of the 100 greatest artists of rock. No, go ahead.
No, I was trying to save as much Sting stuff as I could for if we do a Police song.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
something.
There's tons and tons of
of
Sting and
Stingage.
Police material that we could go over. I have his autobiography, and like most books, I read part of it and then I stopped. I felt like I got a feel for it, and then I quit. There's something in there about Miles Davis grabbing his crotch and yelling at him. That's about as far as I got.
I don't feel like I like all the pictures in the album except for this one. I don't feel like that's Sting. I feel like that's him trying to be somebody different.
Him trying to imitate a blind guy.
Yep. Oh, y'all on the radio
Great
couldn't see which one I showed him.
harmonica and bass line both playing that solo line together. There's a phrase for that, and I can't remember what it is. There's a classical music notation phrase from that. This is a very chill song right up until the very end, and then it kicks in and just kind of takes off. And I'm going to talk about a production. I guess it's a technique that you hear often in music that mostly goes unnoticed, but it helps to take a song, give a song some extra energy. We're going to hear it in just a second when this kind of kicks in. I'm too afraid. I'm so afraid. It's something the boy said. Different, going major here. We're headed to a different.
The sustain on his bass note it carries. So
Boom. Here we go. Boom, like a gunshot. Okay, now we hear the energy. But one of the things that's bringing it that most of the time you don't think about is the tambourine. That's called a topper element. You put it on top of a production when it just needs a little something. It adds energy without being in the way. It's not taking up much of the mix. It's not, you know what I mean? It's not another guitar in there. It's not a whatever. It's just something that adds rhythm and energy. You'll hear tambourine is by far the most widely used way to accomplish
Maracas,
that.
shaker.
Yeah, shakers. Even triangles, you'll hear a a lot more in maybe 90s hip hop, that kind of stuff. You'd hear triangles, R&B, I guess. But yeah, that's called a topper, and you just add. It can add so much, but it's not something that the listener really notices most of the time. They just
it's
feel
background.
It. Yeah, it's back. It kind of hides. It doesn't take up much space, but it's a great way to add energy to a song. man, is this album almost over?
Which, if you play tambourine in church, you're not a topper. You're out front. It's so annoying.
Yeah, no.
Please stop your tambourine.
Unless you're on stage, part of the band, like don't take
bring
your
it in the
tambourine to
audience.
church
Yeah,
and do it.
don't be that person.
There was a guy at my church one time who just brought nope, not a tambourine. It's much worse. He brought a trombone. Like in the congregation, he's just sitting down, and then in the middle of music, he just starts playing a trombone.
I wonder if it was a Michael Rath trombone, custom made.
I don't know. If it was, he wasted a lot of money on it. Okay, so here we are, man. I feel like we just started this album, but here we are at the epilogue. This is called Epilogue, parentheses, Nothing About Me. And this is a straight ahead pop song. I mean, it's not.
It's
there's
jazzy.
no such thing as straight ahead. But man, I love this song.
Great
so
way to
fun.
end an album.
Yeah, great way with some energy. And he's like, and basically, as the closer to the album, he's like, you know nothing more about me now than you did at the beginning.
Which is probably the way y'all feel about this album. You may not know anything more about it than when we started, but darn it, we had a good time listening to it
We've
together.
had a great time listening with this album to you. Listening with this album to you is what I just said.
Yeah, it's been different. We've had a good time hanging
Yeah.
out. So
Check my records, check my facts. Here's another uncommon term in America. He says, pour over everything in my CV. You know what a CV is? A CV is a resume. We just call it a resume. But a CV is Latin, stands for Curriculum Vitae, V-I-T-A-E. And it's basically your life's work. That's what
there's
that would
your
translate
education lesson for
Yeah,
those of y'all that
there you
stayed
go.
with us for 11 tracks.
to. Yeah, a CV. But he's basically like, you know what? Run my DNA, pull my tax records, all that stuff. It doesn't mean you know me.
Got some good horn parts right here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, we forgot to talk about David Sanborn.
Yeah.
Played sax on here. Some keenness right there.
Great,
but
yeah. Great
David
keenness.
Sanborn played with Paul Simon, Clapton, Eagles, Grateful Dead, and did the score for Lethal Weapon and Scrooged. So, there you go.
Of course he did. I love this piano solo. Turn over everything. I won't even be home. I won't even be there. I don't care. Do you have a least favorite Sting song? Is there a Sting song you just hate?
On the album or in general?
No, in general. Is there anything of his that you just like, meh?
I don't know. I've not.
I'm going to go ahead and say Desert Rose.
Oh, I like Desert Rose.
I cannot stand it. I do not care about it.
Yeah?
I feel like you wrote a 4-note melody and you repeated it 100 times over some different chords and I don't know, pretended like it was important and everybody fell for it. That's how I feel about Desert Rose.
Nah, I'm good
I love
with
this climbing chromatic. We started the album with rising chromatic strings and we're ending the album with rising chromatic strings. And then they stay on that one. But the bass is still going. And that is how we top off one of the greatest albums in pop music history. It's still going. There's 20 more seconds of this before it fully fades out. That's insane. That is Epilogue. It's still going. If you're listening through headphones, you might still be able to hear it faintly. That, ladies and gentlemen, is 10 Summoner's Tales, one of my absolute favorite top 5 albums of all time, Desert Island. Give me that album.
Yep.
That might be the best album all around that I've ever heard.
When we said, hey, we want to try to tackle an album or do something weird, this was the one. Like
That's
we're
right.
like, well, we know we're doing 10 Summoner's Tales. That was
Right,
the
it was
one.
a given. A given.
A given.
Yeah.
My actual first copy of this that I have, I got from you. Actually,
Oh, yeah.
when
Well,
we lived together.
I'm a nice guy.
There you go. Thanks for introducing me to this.
Absolutely.
Goodness.
I just realized I did a Google search because I wasn't sure about this. I just assumed it was on there, but this album, I believe, does not appear in the Rolling Stone 500 Greatest Albums of All Time, and it's maybe pound for pound for me the best album that I know.
If you had to pick, if like there's like Rob and JP, what's your album? Like this is our combined.
Yeah, between
favorite
the two
album.
of us.
Between the two of us, if we had to mutually agree on
Yeah.
the best album,
Yeah.
this would be our number one.
Yeah, I think so. We have we both love certain Beatles albums, but different ones are our favorites.
Sure.
And we've talked about Genesis and even like Van Halen. We both love them, but we have different albums that are our favorite. But this album, we both collectively agree is top of the heap.
And it's funny because we don't have, I wouldn't say our favorite Sting song is on here, maybe. I don't know.
Right.
Yours maybe.
Maybe not. Yeah.
I mean,
There's
we've got
so
so
much to choose from, but
as a collective work, as an album,
absolutely,
you can push play and listen like we did and enjoy every minute of it.
And start it over.
Yeah.
I used to listen to this album on repeat. So, all right, we're going to wrap this thing up because if we're not careful, we'll go another 20 minutes on it, and nobody wants that. But thank you guys so much for listening. Let us know. Find us on Twitter at Great Song Pod, at Worship Nerd, that's me, at Penny Trader 10, that's JP. And let us know what you thought about this format. Did you like to play along? And how did you listen? Let us know how you listened along. If you were on a cassette, were you able to follow along? If you were listening on vinyl, just let us know how the experience was and what you might like to hear in the future. Give us some shouts out.
And it's okay if you didn't like it. Just
yeah,
be
let
like,
us know if you
hey,
hated
it was
it.
confusing, it was weird.
Yeah.
That's fine. So that way we don't do
It's
it
fine,
again.
and we really don't care at all what
And
you
we
think.
might do it again
but
anyway.
we're just gonna do whatever we want, and you'll either listen or you won't. But yeah, seriously, let us know what you thought. Let somebody else know if you liked it and enjoyed it. If you got a Sting fan in your life, say, hey, these guys want to sit behind you and just talk over your favorite album. Just let us know. We want to be those people who are in the theater that just basically have no awareness that there are other people in the world, and they just talk through the entire movie about whatever they want. Man, did you see that? Whatever.
The people eating popcorn in a quiet place.
So loudly.
Like it's so.
Oh man, I went to see Infinity War the other day, and there was a guy behind me, like maybe 1 or 2 seats over, tapping his foot like the rabbit from Bambi, just thumper, just. I'm like, I'm about to murder you. This is Avengers. Ugh. Anyway,
The
all right.
things that bring out the animal in Rob.
Oh boy, you wouldn't even believe it. So anyway, I killed him. I wrote a whole song about it. It's on the Sting album somewhere.
Yeah.
See if you can spot it.
That's right.
So thanks so much for listening to the Great Song Podcast. We can't wait to see you again next time on another great episode. I'm Rob.
I'm JP.
Go listen to some music.